Tinfoil Tidbits 23, The Return of the Tinfoil. And most of these are from like 2019 to 2020 is the ones I didn't get to. One of the things I've noticed lately there are people, mostly in the business world, faking a blended Australian English accent. Now, I'm in the United States. If it was in Australia or Europe, okay, that might be normal. But I've noticed so many new Australian English sounding accents in the United States. Has anybody else noticed this? I mean, I'm not saying that they're not, but I'm just saying it seems a little bit more. I'm just wondering if people are faking the accent. If it's like this, because it's not quite Australian, it's not quite English. It's like this in-between thing. And I'm just wondering if it's like a new thing. If that's the new accent that everybody's doing. Is that what everybody's doing now? It's faking this new accent? All right. COVID. What have we learned? This is an incomplete list. And I wish I would have taken a better list, but I noticed so many things along the way. One, the economy, it isn't real. How did we shut down the whole planet's economy, and only had essential workers going, and we're all still here? We're all still here. What happened to all the homeless people? What happened? How are we here a year later after being locked down for a whole year? Not just USA, the whole planet. How was there no major economic consequences? It makes you wonder what's real and what's not. It makes you wonder about making the numbers all these years, stressing to try to get those sales numbers in, and all the stuff that we did to rush through to meet the quarterlies. Was it all just an illusion? What is real? And we discovered that barely anybody's essential. Makes you wonder who's really getting all the work done. I mean, we did have shortages of toilet paper, but for the most part, everything else kept going. How is that possible? Food was still at the restaurants. Food was still on the shelves. Everything still went through. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying everybody wasn't working, but it was really suspicious to me how an entire planetary lockdown didn't really stop the engine of the world. Really strange. We also saw that rules that were set in stone suddenly weren't set in stone anymore. Bunch of laws, bunch of things that could never be changed. Suddenly, they could be changed with the snap of the finger. Interesting time. And there was so many other things to observe. I hope you paid attention and remembered what you saw change, so that if things go back, you'll know never to believe that anything is in stone and that things can't be and things were always the way they are and always will be. We got to see that nothing is in stone. Anything could be changed. Thing I should be adding to another video, it's the Tesla evacuation in Florida 2018 before one of the hurricanes. Tesla somehow beamed electricity to Tesla cars, because Florida's a long state. So to evacuate out of Florida, it's a long quest, especially if you're coming from like South Florida to get all the way up out of the Panhandle or just straight north. It's long. It's a long, long journey. You can't do it on one tank of gas. You certainly can't do it on one charge. Somehow Tesla was able to wirelessly transmit to the vehicles more power, which makes, now they say that there's like this extra storage space on the cars that they don't notify the end user about, or you have to pay for an additional tier to get it. But what if it actually was being wirelessly transmitted, in the sense that Nikola Tesla said that he could wirelessly transmit electricity through the Tesla towers? Just something to keep in mind to unveil the artificial scarcity. Feudalism Amnesia. Many forget that we were ruled by kings and then lords, and if you think the field of psychology is new, think again. If you think psychology was conducted for good, think again. They show us the chronology of man's ascent to get us to think that we are the creators of culture and in control of our own destiny, and that there isn't some group with a weather machine and social engineers making it all. Instead of us whisking it off to God or to science, let's whisk it off to these human farmers that have us trapped. One of the things I was able to see through the COVID is that nothing, and I mean nothing, is real. Everything is manufactured. And I'm not even talking about the illness itself, just society in general, the economy in general, and the economy drives society, and the economy is what Anything is possible now, and we're definitely in a matrix. The rise of the NPC is the rise of the human clone or android. And since they're fully controlled, their behavior is positively reinforced by the societal engineers. If you have clones out there performing the behaviors captured and reshown everywhere, you can condition the population in a monkey see, monkey do fashion. So I guess initially with the masks, imagine if they have a bunch of completely mind-controlled clones out there, or the ability to NPC control people. The way you shape society is through like a social proof or monkey see, monkey do. So what I mean is, if a bunch of people start wearing masks proudly and prominently displaying them, and then you got the media showing like only those people, it trains everybody on how to behave. And not just for that, because obviously the masks are obvious to see, but what if you take this concept and apply it to everything? I mean, obviously it's what they do with fashion. Learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is behavior exhibited by a subject after enduring repeated aversive stimuli beyond their control. It was initially thought to be caused from the subject's acceptance of their powerlessness, discontinuing attempts to escape or avoid the aversive stimulus, even when such alternatives are unambiguously presented. Upon exhibiting such behavior, the subject was said to have acquired learned helplessness. Over the last few decades, neuroscience has provided insight into learned helplessness and shown that the original theory actually had it backwards. The brain's default state is to assume that control is not present, and the presence of helpfulness is what is actually learned. That sounds like a friendly definition. When I see learned helplessness, I just think how they just train us to think that we're completely helpless. For instance, the way they condition artificial scarcity in so many ways. They don't just do it through recycling or making you think that the environment or trees are going to run out or oil is going to run out. They even do it with water or global warming. The world's going to end and there's nothing you can do about it. Somewhere over the rainbow. Was Dorothy talking about the dome or the ice wall? The crescent moon and half moon. They stay consistently illuminated throughout the night. You would think there'd be some kind of like variant as it passes through, but it stays pretty consistent. I don't really know how it works. I don't know if the moon is sun-reflected light or if the moon illuminates its own light. Just saying, next time you see a crescent moon or a half moon, just wonder how it stays so consistently illuminated. Where are the fast flights? I might have discussed this on a previous Tinfoil Tidbits, but Concorde, hypersonic flights, supersonic flights. Seattle changed their name to the Sonics instead of the Supersonics, and there's no more space shuttle. How did we go backward with aviation? The question isn't who is God. The question is who made the game. Frequencies, meditation, DMT. I can't get any straight information on it. Can you? You can watch 10 YouTube videos on frequencies, meditation, and DMT, and it's all this abstract, subjective, all over the place discussion that doesn't specifically tell you anything. You just got to meditate. It's the frequencies. The DMT trip was amazing. But I can't get any like solid info on these topics. It's Strauss-Howe generational theory. The Strauss-Howe generational theory, also known as the fourth turning or simply the fourth turning, which was created by the authors William Strauss and Neil Howe, describes a theorizing recurring generation cycle in American history. According to the theory, historical events are associated with recurring generational personas, archetypes. Each generational persona unleashes a new era called a turning, in which a new social, political, and economic climate exists. And the turnings tend to last around 20 to 22 years. They are part of a larger cyclical cyclum. So when I saw this, I thought to myself, all right, they're making it seem like it's like this theory that this guy just happened to stumble upon, and it just may be a total disclosure of how complete society is engineered. Limited Hangout. I might have covered this in the past, but it's worth rediscovering. A limited hangout or partial hangout is, according to former special assistant to the deputy director of the Central Intelligence Agency, Victor Marchetti, spy jargon for a favorite and frequently used gimmick of the clandestine professionals. When their veil of secrecy is shredded and they can no longer rely on a phony cover story to misinform the public, they resort to admitting, sometimes even volunteering, some of the truth while still managing to withhold the key and damaging facts in the case. The public, however, is usually so intrigued by the new information that it never thinks to pursue the matter further. And an example I could use, and I can't prove that he's limited to Hangout, but this always made me think of Edward Snowden. Just plug him into that topic there and see if it fits perfectly. Why is Flat Earth so dangerous? Flat Earth is inconsequential. And what I mean is, like, I understand the fear about anti-vaxxers and that kind of information spreading because it could create a health issue. And I'm not saying vaccines are one way or the other. I'm just saying, like, I could understand that. But why is Flat Earth such a problem? If you've never tried it, just pretend to be Flat Earth for a day and see how angry and look at how much it's been spread. Anyway, so is it because of funding? Is it because of global warming? Is it because we may discover the hidden locations? When you go down the Flat Earth path, you start to reject maps, start to look at older maps, and start to wonder if maybe they gave us a limited map that makes us believe that there's just these 7 continents and nothing else. Many conspiracy theorists are doing it wrong. They're just as dogmatic as the sheeple they're against. I see people that don't balance the official version of reality with the conspiracy. You can balance the two and not be so over the top. Then you have religious people who utilize conspiracy theory topics such as Flat Earth to shift to their own agenda. Oh, so you found the Flat Earth truth, but have you found Jesus yet? And they utilize the shifted to their agenda. But not only that, and all that's fine. Those people using conspiracy theory at least have an agenda behind it. I think I'm more talking about people that don't know how to discern what's real and what's not. Or just going all the way conspiracy without still balancing the reality that the majority of people out there still believe in the mainstream version of reality. People have discovered mainstream reality is fake. So then they go completely 100% into tinfoil. So to be an effective communicator, you got to find a way to still remember what it was like so that you can relate to people. But a lot of people think once you get to a certain point, you don't even want to waste your time. So just make sure that you know for sure. Use a lot of empiricism and use a lot of discernment when it comes to conspiracy theory, because a lot of it is done by groups to confuse the population just as much as the mainstream confuses the population. Authoritative acting. They take their mind to another place and say it with a stern, straight face. They stay in character and posture as if reality goes through them. They exhibit selective moral outrage and condemnation via righteous indignation. Online posts are essentially condemnation via righteous indignation. And they stay in character. They could do it with a straight face and be stern. They're acting. They're role-playing. It can be done. What makes the weather work? What does that even mean? The global elite can deliver expensive experimental vaccines to the entire world inside a year, but can't seem to figure out a permanent way to feed hungry children in poorer countries with decades to figure it out. Think about that. What does that tell you? I did cover this in a previous episode, but it's worth saying again. Proselenes, the time before the moon. Aristotle wrote of a people called the Proselenes who lived in Arcadia, a mountainous region in central Greece, long before the coming of the Greeks. The name Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon, has come to refer to the moon itself, and the term Proselenes means before the moon. According to ancient legend, the Proselenes held claim to Arcadia because they lived there before there was a moon in the heavens. So I think that wraps it up. Thank you for watching Tinfoil Tidbits episode 23. Be on the lookout for the next episode. I'll see you then.